Everyone, welcome back to another video. So we are back on again with this low loader trailer. I did a part 1 on it where I took the axles off, got all the bad bits chopped out, and now it's time to start putting it back together again, or start rebuilding it. I did get a lot of comments on the last video saying it's not worth repairing, or it should be going for scrap, or it's not going to be safe, or all sorts of different comments. Admittedly, it does look quite bad at the moment because all the scaly rust is still in the bottom, but yeah, there's plenty still left to weld on the chassis, so I'm not concerned at all about not being able to get the strength back in it. But anyway, I got them squares cut out last time. They're cleaned up, ready to go. I just need to clean them up to get the patches welded, ready to weld into them. But what I'm going to do before I do that, because I need some 5mm plate on my CNC table and I've only got some 10mm on at the moment, so I'm going to cut out the bits that the spring hangers are going to mount onto first, and then I'll cut the patches out once I've got my plate changed over. So this is one of the original spring hangers. That's a new one. But you can see these ones have just been welded onto like 100 by 100 box section, and it's not been particularly thick. But yeah, I don't really like that idea that it's lasted as long as it has, but I just think that's a bit cheap and a bit of a poor way of doing it, so I'm going to do it slightly different. So I've got these drawn up already, so this is how I'm going to do instead of using box section, I'm going to press some bits out like this, out of 10mm plate. So that's the back one that welds up again, that's the front one, and then that's the middle one, and then they sort of taper down, and then it'll get welded onto the chassis. I don't really like the idea of the box section ones because box section is not that strong and it's just welded in a straight line across the chassis, which I don't think is a very good idea. So yeah, I'm going to do them like that. They won't take much making anyway, there's only a few presses to do and they should be stronger. And then I'm also going to be plating on the inside of the chassis. I haven't decided whether I'm just going to plate it in where the spring hangers are, or whether I'm going to go from there all the way up to there. And then also the plate that's welding the side is going to fill in the side of the bits that are pressed to go onto the chassis. But yeah, the first job is I'll get these cut out, they're ready to go, and then I'll get them pressed. Right, so I got them cut out and marked. I was going to engrave the press lines, but then there's 2 press lines on one side and 2 on the other, so I didn't see any point. I just thought I'd mark them all out with chalk. So I've cut out a test piece as well, because I don't know what, it's like a 50-degree press, but I don't know what my press setting needs to be for 10mm at 50 degrees, so we'll have a bit of practice on there first. And then, oh, that one is 90 degree, the rest are 50. One of my lights has gone out in this corner, so it's a bit darker over here now. If anyone knows of any good LED strip lights, let me know. Because they started really bright and then they've just gone dimmer and dimmer, and now they're not very bright at all. And eventually that one's gone out. Right, so that's the first one pressed, and yeah, well, bang on 100mm there, so that is exactly what we wanted. So I'll press the others. That's the front one, another front one, and then there the back ones. Right, so that is them pressed as well now, so they will go on the chassis like that. And obviously the same on the other side as well. So they should be stronger than box section, especially when they're plated in at the side as well. So what I was saying about that plate is I might do it as one bit of plate all the way across, but then have it cut out so it fills in the side of there as well, and taper down into the chassis. Yeah, so a bit like that. So obviously they are them bits that are sat on there now, and then this infill at the side fills in the side of them and fills in the side of the chassis. And then I was gonna press that and taper that back into the chassis, but I think I'll have to do that as a separate piece because I only have an 8x4 sheet of 5mm, and if I add them bits on, it's going to be longer than 2.5 meters, which is 8 foot. So I'll have to do them as an add-on, I think, and it'd be fairly difficult to press them because I was going to have it pressed in that way and then pressed back that way, similar to this. So like that bit was inside the chassis, tapered down like that. But yeah, I think I'll do that as an extra bit. So yeah, I need some plate getting onto the table now. I haven't really got much space. So yeah, I'll probably chop that bit off, make that into a smaller bit, lift them 2 bits off, and then try and fit through with the forklift and drop a bit of sheet of 5mm on. While I'm cutting that out, I'll also cut out some plates like that to go into the side of the chassis where them holes are. I think I'll do them with an end on like that, so I'll have to cut a bit more out of the chassis yet to cut a bit of a point out the end. So we took a bit of shimmying about, but we've got that plate on there. And I've got the parts like put in, ready to cut out. So I think I'll cut one of these out first, and I'll stop it and lift it out and make sure that's going to be right before I cut another one out. And then patches should be right because they're pretty straightforward. Right, so I've got that cut out and set in there. You get the idea now. So I might also press this in at the bottom a little bit, so it gives me a lip to weld down across the top, across the bottom or the top, whichever. And then I've also done it slightly bigger, so I can weld down the top of this side as well. And then I'll get welded round there, fill that in. And then, yeah, like I was saying, I'll taper that down into the chassis as well. And then it doesn't get all full up with soil and salt and crap like it did before. Yeah, I'll get the other one cut out now, because that's going to do what I want it to do. I'll get the patches cut out as well. So that's them cut out. So yeah, take that off again and then mark up where I need to clean up and get back to grinding and cleaning bits up again. Right, so I've got both of them patches welded in. They welded in not too bad. 1 or 2 spots it melted through, but overall I've gone in pretty well. And then I've welded the cross member to them on the back side as well. Yeah, that's the back side. I was struggling to see. I need some new screens for my welding mask. I was struggling to see down there. And it was pretty difficult welding up the inside of the cross member because you can't sort of get your head low enough. You have to lie right in here to be able to see where you're going. Anyway, they're in nice and strong. They're burnt in properly anyway with the welds. So I think I'll carry on with this side. I'll put the spring hangers on now, and then that plate on the side, and then get this side done, and then I'll maybe shift the trailer across a bit so it gives me some more space to work on that side. So I'll get these bits cleaned up. Well, they're clean anyway, but it just welds a bit better if you get rid of the plasma cut edge, and that's like the new centre pivot that will get welded onto there. Right, so with this bit here, I'm just going to put a bit of a press on it down there somewhere, so then the bottom can weld onto, well, not quite as far in as that, but onto this clean bit, but then it will still, there's not going to be a gap at the top. So that'll be like 90 degrees down with the top of that, and a little kick on the bottom just to kick it in a bit. Right, so I've got that pressed and tacked in, and that gives me a nice edge to weld down there. But the reason why that's thicker is there is because there's still a bit of the old plate left on there I haven't chopped off. But yeah, get a nice weld down there, nice run of weld down the back of that, and then nice weld around there. I might have to grind the top of that out a little bit down there, all the way around that. And I have ended up with a little bit of a gap there, which I don't know why I've ended up with that. I'll have to fill that in. I'll probably put a plate in from behind just to fill it in and then go down it with weld. I could move this plate back a little bit, well then I suppose I'd have a gap at the front. So yeah, I'll have to make do with that. But no, that looks alright. So I'm going to make the end bits now to like blank this bit in. To do that I'm going to like press a bit and then 45 degrees and then press again onto the chassis, and then I can weld it round onto the chassis and onto here. I'll do that at the back and at the front. So yeah, my plate will look a bit like that. So yeah, it overlaps a bit there, pressed at 45 degrees, and then like a nice like fishtail on the end to weld into the chassis. Like that. That's what the flat pattern will look like. So I'm just going to cut one of these out to start with, and press it, and make sure it's going to fit first before I cut 4 of them out. Right, so I've done my first one. I've had to notch a bit out of it for where it goes in, where that pressed bit is, and I've had to trim it down a little bit to get it to fit, but that goes in there like that. Fits pretty nice, does that? And I'm like plasma some holes in here so I can weld. I'll weld it down there and I'll weld it onto there as well, and then weld it round into the chassis. That should seal that box section, well what is now the box section. I altered my pattern, tapered it down a bit and took that notch out, so I can cut them other 3 out now. Right, so that's then pressed, and then I've got the second one sat in there, so I just need to mark around there now, grind that out, clean it up. I did say about cutting some holes in there and welding it through there, but I don't think I'm going to bother. I'll just weld it down there. So I did think before I put that plate on that I should maybe either treat that rust in there with something or paint it, but I think if it's sealed up properly and there's no moisture can get back into there, it shouldn't get any worse. I'll just have to make sure I do a good job of welding around the ends so that no moisture can get back in again. Right, so that is them tacked in now. So, well, what I'm also going to do is make some other cutouts or some other filling plates to go in the back of here to fill that in. Now, I don't know whether I might put some more plates down, like infill plates, same as what I've done on that side, but not as big. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to make any more bits tonight. I've had my tea, fell asleep at chair for an hour, and now I've come back out. I'll do an hour of welding before bedtime, so I'll get most of that welded up tonight, and then carry on with the other side and finish this off tomorrow. Right, so that is that all welded up nearly. There's a bit on there I want to feed it out, just get a bit of welding there, but I'm not going to do that tonight. And then I've got welded round in there. I've just welded them down because they're only really to seal them up. I'm sort of struggling to see where I was going because I need to get some new screens for my welding mask. And then they're all welded round, welded down the back of them. That one's tidying up a bit more weld putting around there maybe. Yeah, they're fully welded all the way across the bottom. That's all welded round. So a bit of a gap to fill in there. And that's all welded round underneath there. So yeah, in the morning I'll cut some bits of plate out to weld into there, and then I can weld these spring hangers on. And then that's that side nearly done. Oh, I need to weld up the back of there as well still. So it's the following morning now, so I'll get on and cut the bits out to fill the back of them in and get them welded in. I've got one infill drawn already. I'll get these other two drawn. Might have to measure that one off there because like this side plate didn't quite fit properly. So if I draw it off that, then that might not fit properly either, but these two should be alright. So that's them ready to cut out. I found another tool. I keep finding different tools to do different jobs in this software. There's quite a lot to it, and I found that one which alters the sequence of what it cuts. So I've got it to cut one of each out first, so it'll cut that one and that one out, and then I'll stop it, make sure they fit alright, and then if they fit alright, and then I'll just press go again and it'll cut the other three out, because there's no point cutting them all out if they're not going to fit properly. You might want a bit of altering. I'll get the torch lined up on there and then we'll get them cut out as well. So them three fit alright. The front one wants the corners rounding off a little bit, but I can do that with a belt sander. So I'll carry on cutting the other three out. So that's them tacked in as well now. So I'll get them welded round. I need to grind that out, weld across the top of there, and then at the back here I've also put in a bit of filler to fill that in. So I'll get all that welded round, I'll give that a clean up, well, I'll give everything a clean up, and then that'll be this side sorted. That's this side all done then. I've got that gap filled in and ground round, and then filling plates welded in. So yeah, that's all. I don't think I'm going to put any braces on the inside. I don't think it will need any. It'll be stronger than what it was when it was just a lump of RSJ or whatever. So yeah, I've got the same to do on this side now, so I have to finish cleaning all these bits up and then cut the end of them out to weld them plates in, and then yeah, basically exactly the same. Well, it is exactly the same to do on this side. I'll move this little saw out the way first because it's going to be in the way. We've got this side to the same stage now. Everything's welded up on there. Then plates welded around at the end. And then I've got the patches welded in on the inside. So there's a patch there, and then one at the back there. So it's actually welded on pretty nice as that. They were a bit tricky because they were upside down. But so right, is that? So yeah, start putting these spring hangers on now. They're the back ones, pivot in the middle, and then a smaller one of them to go at the front. when you look at them, I'm pretty confident that my chassis repairs are stronger than what these are. Yeah, that's the front one and then the middle one. So I'll get these ground up, get all the paint ground off them, and then get them tacked on to position where they need to be, and make sure they're both sets are square with each other. Right, so I've got one of them tacked on, and I was just looking for somewhere to sort of get a reference point off. So I've laid that bit of steel on there, and I measured from that to that cross member, got that square, and then I measured it to that cross member just to check, and that seems square. But then I measured from that channel there back to there, and it's sort of like 7 mil out from one side to the other, which is not a lot, but still out. You measure from there across to there, that is 901. This side to there we've got 892. Yeah, so nearly 10 mil out. Yeah, for jobs like this you always have to be careful where you're measuring from, because not everything is square. So if I can, I'll put that square across there, make sure we're right with that. If we're right with that, then I suppose I can use that cross member as a reference point rather than having to use that bit of plate. Putting them on at the same centres as they were, which is like 1115 centres across that way. I've just been out to measure the spring on the old axle. Measurement doesn't matter too much because there's no plates welded on the axle, so I can put the springs at whatever centres I want. But yeah, I'll make it the same as what it was. I've got them on where I want them, then I'll be able to use them as a reference point for the middle one and for the front ones. So I'm just lining these up now, but they've been a bit of a pain to get the measurements the same. When you look down the side of here, that's nearly flush with there, but look how How off that is from being flush. Same with this one. That's about flush with there. Well, this one's, it's not as easy to see, but there's less there than what there is there. There, you can see on that side, that one's flush. And that one's not flush. So, I can't go off them measurements from them plates. So, I can either do with a bit of box section clamped into there to that back one, and then just put that middle one in, but then it wouldn't fit. Box section wouldn't fit. Maybe do it with a string line or something. I think I'll have to take this one off again. I thought I had it somewhere near with like a straight edge from there to there, but then when you put that straight edge across that to the front, it's going to be miles out. So yeah, I'll have to take that off again. Right, so taking that back one off the middle, and I used a bit of box section to go through there. Then I measured from there to the centre there, both sides, and then got my centres right that way and tacked that one on. Then I swapped box section over onto that side and then did the same again. I've got this string line in, but I don't think I'm really gaining anything from that, because I can measure from there across to there and across to there, and that measures the same. And I've also done a diagonal measurement from there across to there, and then from there across to there. And we are a couple of mil out on that, like 2 mil. Well, about 4 mil total, so plus or minus 2 mil. I don't think there's any point worrying about a measurement that small, especially on a trailer like this. So I think I'll make that do. I'll tack that one on. I've also measured from there to get my centres right from that, and that's what I need it to be. So yeah, tack that on, take that out, and then I'll have to try and get the middle one lined up. That's maybe where the string line will come in. So got a string line, I moved it so that is like on the inside of that, same at the back, it's on the inside of that, and then that string line now is sort of bang in line with the inside of that. And them spacings are near enough the same, they're sort of 82, 83 mil. And then measured the centre from that hole there to the centre of there that I took off my old measurements, which is 985, so that should be right now. I've tacked that on there, tacked on the back, and then yeah, move my string line over to the other side and do the same over there. So as a final check, I've also put a string line down the middle, and then I measured off the string line, or from there to the string line, made sure all them are the same, or near enough the same. I've had to alter this one a little bit because that was like 5 mil off, but the rest are all right. So yeah, I can weld them on now. Right, I've got them spring hangers welded on now, and I've got some springs sat in just to see what they look like, but I'm not happy with that front one. When you look down it, you can see that spring follows the line of the chassis, but that spring doesn't. That spring's looking in over. So yeah, I should have left that spring hanger where it was. For some reason it doesn't line up with the centre string line, so I'd rather have the spring in line with the chassis. So I'm going to chop that front one off again, move it over to make the spring in line. I've had both springs on this side, these ones are alright, so it's just that front one for some reason is out. Got that re-welded back on there now. I'm happy with that. I've got the spring lifted out so the heat didn't transfer into the bush, but it lines up better with the chassis now. So that's that bit done. Now originally it had box section like them from the side onto the chassis. I had to chop them out obviously because the plate they were welded onto was rotten. So there's three, there's one there, one in the middle and one at the back. But rather than put box section in again, because well, if I put box section in I wouldn't be able to get to weld across the top without taking the boards off. I don't really want to do that. So I've got some of this 50B10 flat bar. I put a bit of a press on it just to put some extra strength into it, and then I'm going to weld them across there like that instead of the box section. So I just need to clean up the rest of them, get them chopped out, clean them up, and then get them welded in. I'm not going to video that, I'm just going to get on and do that, and then I'll be back once I've got them done. Right, so I've got them stays welded in now. So I welded them vertical up, and same on the outside. When I was welding them up and I looked, or when I'd finished welding them up, I could see it was glowing where I'd welded, so it's burnt in nice and strong of them welds. So I'm not really sure. Well, I suppose it puts strength into the side of the chassis. And same down this side. So that's pretty much all of the welding done now. More jobs that need doing as well. See, that is this like side bar is cracked off nearly all the way around, so I'll have to weld that back on. And I'm going to replace them as well because they're that side especially have nearly completely rotted away. Yeah, but unfortunately I'm not going to have time to finish this trailer in this video, so I'll have to do a part 3. But yeah, I've about had enough of it now. I'll be glad when it's done. So it's nearly done, but not quite. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Also, well, I'm just editing this video now, but I was a little add-on at the end. I'll be at Emily Moore next weekend tractor pulling, so that'll be the 21st and the 22nd of September. I know a few people last time when I said I was at Emily Moore didn't realise that there was a show on or tractor pulling was on. So yeah, tractor pulling again next weekend, so I'll be there with my Leyland. So there's loads of merch left if anyone wants a hoodie or a polo shirt or a zip up hoodie. I've got loads left on snowballengineering.co.uk.